Hey everyone, how's it going? Ken Cole here. And this is the first KenCast. Thanks for watching today. I'm going to start this new thing called the KenCast, kind of talking about news and Cobra Kai and things that are on your mind. So today we're going to be talking about Mike Barnes, season 5, the season 5 release date. And in just a second, I'm going to introduce you to a very special guest, Stryfe the Warrior, who you might already know. He's made so many great analysis videos, and we recently did a collaboration about Mike Barnes and also the tournament in Cobra Kai season 4. So, one thing I want to get out of the way, we're going to be doing a conversation. Please comment in the chat. Let us know your thoughts. We're going to be kind of talking through our thoughts, and then we're going to be going into the chat and getting your comments and kind of discussing with you your thoughts on everything. And if you haven't seen it yet, check out, I uploaded a new video on Bobby Brown yesterday and how he might be better than Johnny and Daniel. So definitely after this, definitely check out that video. And without further ado, let me introduce to you our very special guest for today, Stryfe the Warrior. Stryfe, thanks for joining us for this special premiere KenCast.
Hey, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to be here and excited to really talk about, like, with season 5 and I always love to talk about Cobra Kai, and especially with another favorite Cobra Kai YouTuber of mine, of course, Mr. Ken Cole. So I'm ready, man. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is great. And I just want to say to everyone, thank you guys for watching our recent collaborations. We received so many great responses from that, and it was just so much fun to put those together. It's always great to talk to someone like Stryfe, who has just such deep knowledge of Karate Kid and Cobra Kai, and we can just dive deep into all the character stuff. So if you guys watching have questions or topics that you want to talk about, don't be afraid of getting as deep as possible, because Stryfe has got your back. He can go as deep as you want. So Stryfe, let's start by talking about some kind of, like, I don't know if you'd call it breaking news, but last night we had kind of some interesting interactions going on our video. And I know you saw this on our video that we did about Mike Barnes last night. We had a comment on that video. And guys, if you haven't seen it, the link is in the description of this stream. Okay, so check this out. This comment went onto that video. This is Sean Kanan himself. This is the great actor who plays Mike Barnes in Karate Kid 3. We're thinking he could show up in season 5, and he commented. He said, "Interesting theories. We shall see." So, okay, so Stryfe, I mean, first of all, I want to get your thoughts. For me, I mean, that just completely blew me away. I just got so excited seeing that, given our discussion about, like, all the possibilities, just the fact that Sean Kanan commented that, I don't know, that's got me very excited for season 5. And, I made a tweet that basically it's like pure excitement, and it just makes the wait for season 5 that much longer. But I kind of wanted to just get your reaction to that in our video.
It really blew me away. I mean, not a lot of times. I don't know if it's just out of, like, respect for the respect for the franchise or anything like that. You don't really see a lot of actors from the Cobra Kai / Karate Kid anthology, so to speak. Comment on a lot of things. I guess it's maybe respect to the series, or there maybe like NDA. I'm not sure. So it's really cool that he was just, like, kind of like borderline, like, hey, we'll see what happens here. So yeah, it was really cool, and it kind of blew me away. And then especially with the tweet too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because I'm sure some people are thinking, here's Daniel. He's saying, "Are you sure he's not a fake user?" Yes, and we'll go into that in just a second. But yes, the tweet. Let's let's go back. Okay, so here's the next thing. So Ben Matello, who's on Twitter, thank you, Ben, replied, "Wow, he has to be coming back in season 5." Okay, then look who liked that, Sean Kanan.
exactly.
So okay, all right. So Stryfe, just your background on social media, like this chain of events that we've just talked about. What does this mean? Does this mean something? Does this mean Mike Barnes is coming back in season 5, or is Sean Kanan just toying with us?
Right. And also to add it as an interjection, just all around that same time frame too. And I have the screenshot, Ken. I think I sent it to you. If not, I can send it to you again.
Sure.
Around that same time frame, Sean followed me on Instagram. So, and it was his official account, blue check mark and everything. So,
Yep.
if that's not proof enough, that's what it is. Here, I sent it to you, Ken. I'm gonna send it to you again right now in case you want to display it. And you guys can verify for yourself on Instagram, Stryfe the Warrior, if you want to take a look at it. But to go back to your question, it goes back to our discussion. It's almost impossible for him not to be, to not be a part of the franchise, because the big three do have a lot of respect for Karate Kid 3. So much that they wanted Terry Silver to be part of it, and of course, when Terry Silver came in, look how big of a role that they gave him. That's
Right.
how much love they have just for Karate Kid 3 alone.
Right.
Considering that he is, Karate Kid 3 is regarded as a weaker of the trilogy, but you still had characters like Mike Barnes and Terry Silver to steal the show.
Right.
And of course, with all the subtle hints in season 4, I mean, it's almost impossible for him not to come back. I think it's kind of hard to say, so to speak, to confirm. I would say we're about 85 to 90%. Like, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think at this point. So
Absolutely. And I'll throw that up there one more time. Here's the screenshot you sent me. So this all happened, guys, in very short order. Sean Kanan started following Stryfe while all that conversation was going on. So I think, Stryfe, I totally agree with you. I think it's 85 to 90% confirmed that we'll see Mike Barnes in season 5. We'll see. I mean, who knows?
Right.
But I don't know, 100% that we're going to see him at some point in the series,
Exactly.
for sure. So this is interesting because we talked about, I think we discussed last time about, when is he going to show up? Like, is it going to be a late season tease, or is he going to show up early in the season? Are they going to do a trailer like they did for Terry Silver in season 4? Are they going to do a Mike Barnes promo? Are they going to hype Mike Barnes? Or are they going to keep him a secret? I'm kind of wondering if he might actually show up early, and he might actually be part of a big hype campaign. I don't know. Do you think that they would have made Sean really say nothing if he was going to be a surprise? I don't know. What do you think about all that?
It's hard to say. Well, to counter, I guess another point to your point would be, look how little they've talked about Mike Barnes for obvious reasons in the Cobra Kai series. Like, Daniel didn't even mention him by name in the season 3 flashback when he was telling Sam not to give in to fear.
Mm-hmm.
And, the fact that they've glossed over Daniel's opponent in the 85 All Valley, they said he's won the championship in 1984, 1985. But outside of that scene in season 3, even during the All Valley tournament in season 4, there's no flashback footage, no hype footage of him going against Mike Barnes. So it's like, and Daniel's not even on the board for the tournament during that year. So it's not like he had anything to do with like, let's not show my fight with Mike Barnes. And of course, with Daniel saying to Amanda, well, there's one more person that might come back from my past to, talk with, or, to be a problem with Cobra Kai. And then also, Terry saying, I have a friend or two I can dig up to help with Cobra Kai. So it's, look at all those going so far out of the way to not show or talk about Mike Barnes.
Right. Exactly. That's a really good point. They've really kind of kept him hidden in the series. So it is kind of a mystery. What is he going to do? Cecilia says, I think we'll get Mike Barnes early on, given that Silver said he was going to get a few friends to run Cobra Kai. Exactly. Right. And definitely check out that video where Stryfe and I talk. When we wonder, like, is it Mike Barnes? Could it be Snake and Dennis? Could it be other people to help him run Cobra Kai? But yeah, it's looking like he might be a part of Cobra Kai for sure. I just want to point out, I did an interview with Sean a while ago. If you guys haven't checked it out, here's his book, Way of the Cobra. it's pretty cool. It's really inspirational. If you actually, if you feel like you're kind of in a sort of like creative or productive rut, or you're feeling down or something, that book really gets you out of it. He's got a talent for doing that. So definitely check out Way of the Cobra. Um, so okay, so we've kind of talked about Sean and Mike Barnes. Another question is the release date of season 5. This is something that everyone has wanted to talk about. We're all wondering. A lot of people, I think, are hoping that it's going to be coming soon. I've seen people comment that with Ozark, they're releasing the 4th season in 2 parts that are close together. So maybe we'll get season 5 in the near future, and we won't have to wait a year. And I want to bring up this. Okay, so this was a tweet from Zach Robinson. He's one of the composers on Cobra Kai. And it looked like he has completed the scorebook for episodes 1, 2, and 3 of season 5. So that means if they're ready to score it, that means those episodes are edited. They are deep into post-production. They are moving along. And then, of course, Brianna Davidson from the Cobra Kai Companion. You guys, I'm sure you've listened to the Cobra Kai Companion. You need to if you haven't. That is like an amazing resource, an amazing podcast, and they're really tied into the production. So she said we're on track for a late April, early May release. Timetables matching up with the old YouTube post-production schedules. I wonder if we'll get it. So this is interesting. So Stryfe, what do you think about, given everything we know, and we know that maybe Sean Kanan's starting to hype season 5, maybe, or tease it. We have people teasing the fact that they're deep into post-production on season 5. Brianna thinks we're on track for a late April, early May release. Do you think we're going to get season 5 this soon?
It's possible. I think, it would also kind of go back to kind of like something you and I talked about last night. What's the best time to put it out during the year for people to view it all at once? Obviously, season 1 and season 2 on the YouTube days were all around that time, late April, early May. I suspect it must have been done really great numbers for them during that time. I don't know how that is in comparison to Netflix numbers. Obviously, that we know when season 3 and 4 came out, in both time frames, Cobra Kai was the number 1 show during those period of times around the release date. I think it would be awesome to get them around that time, mainly because it would also kind of convince them, more or less, not convince them, I'm sorry. It would kind of get them back on track on what their old schedule was like, which, again, April and May release. Because, look at season 3 when they had all the red tape moving from Netflix to YouTube. Excuse me, because from what I understand, season 3 was pretty much already done by the end of 2019.
Right.
Early 2020. So it was just more or less the red tape of moving it from YouTube to Netflix. And then I think, though, it was still a smart move because they got kind of, hyped everybody again, near the end of 2020 at September, October when it released. They kind of put out the, like the seasons again to give everybody a refresher. Then they were like, okay, let's put it out on this, January 1st of 2021. So, one of the things you and I talked about last night, December still isn't necessarily a bad release date either, because it's the holidays. Everybody has time to watch it and things like that. So, though, if it was a summer release, if they did it to where, like, school was already out or something like that, and, most people are on vacation during the summer, that would still also be a good release time for it too. So if I think this will happen, I think it's a chance. I don't know what I would, estimate a percentage of that likely to be happening. But, Cobra Kai has definitely been known for throwing curveballs both in the show and outside the show. So, you never can tell.
Right. That's a good point. And I really like what you brought up about they were finished with season 3. I mean, obviously there was that transition from YouTube to Netflix, but they were sitting on that completed season for a long time. And, Netflix could have released it sooner, like early in the fall, but they waited until, New Year's, basically, almost New Year's to release it. And that has worked out amazingly. Like it
Right.
is one of Netflix's top shows. So it really seems like a good time of year around New Year's. People are home. People have the day off. We're done with the holidays. We don't have to worry about shopping. People are in a place where they can just binge this and just stream the entire season. So that does seem like a really great release date. And you also have that built-in hype where you're just kind of expecting it to come out then, and so people can know when to get hyped and when to start to get excited. Although, maybe Netflix has found a different time of year that might even be better for Cobra Kai. It's tough to say. The one thing I'll say though is I think regardless, I don't think we're going to be getting it before the end of May, and I'll show you why. I'm going to share my screen here. Give me just a second. We need to consider the Emmys. Okay, so I am on the Emmy website, or I'm sorry, I'm on Variety that's talking about the different deadlines for Emmy entries. So right now, during this time, Cobra Kai season 4 is eligible for all kinds of Emmys. Okay, the thing is, the cutoff, if you'll see here, is that entry deadline for all entries that were originally presented between June 1st, 2021 and May 31st, 2022. Okay, so this is the time frame. So the cutoff is May 31st, 2022. If they release season 5 before then they're going to be competing with themselves, Cobra Kai season 4 and 5, in the same Emmy year for awards. They're not going to want to do that at all. So I'd say it's pretty much for certain we are not going to see season 5 before May 31st. That's my opinion. I guarantee they do not want to compete with themselves. So basically, my thought is that it could be in the summer, maybe it could be late summer, or maybe they'll keep it New Year's Eve. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's possible they'd release it sooner, or what's your sense?
You do bring up a good point with the Emmys and whatnot. So I could also see that, basically not happening to where it would be after May till they release it. Again, it just kind of comes back to accessibility of when people can watch it. So maybe the summer would be still a good idea. And I mean, as you see, like on all the time, especially if you're looking on like the Netflix YouTube channel, they're always releasing different shows every month. So,
Right.
there's like some that might come out like in January, February, March, and they also kind of like stagger it out so they're not necessarily competing with each other. So maybe there is some kind of, like you said, some kind of opportunity that they found to not compete with other shows on the Netflix show itself, to where they want to give Cobra Kai, an extra boost. So that would definitely, be interesting to see an early release. And it hasn't been renewed for season 6 yet. I don't see why it wouldn't be though anytime soon. Because it's basically bound to happen. They're going to renew it for season 6 just because of how
Right.
well the show has done.
Right.
So they're on track for season 5, and maybe they had some kind of contract with Netflix when, because as we know, before season 3 even released, the show was renewed for season 4 and season 5. So
Right.
that could also be a potential. Okay, this is the contract that we have for 2021, 2022. This is the schedule we want for these release dates. So
Right.
that could be also a part of that as well.
That's a really good point. Right, because I think season 5 was confirmed, what, 3 or 4 months before season 4 release?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we knew, well, obviously they started shooting season 5 before season 4 was released. So that's interesting. So if we think season 6 is going to get renewed, would that be a sign that season 5 is coming? If we start to get rumblings that season 6 is renewed, I'm wondering, if we haven't heard that yet, it might mean that season 5 is still a little ways off.
Yeah, I mean, that could definitely be a choice too. Again, everything's pretty much pure speculation at this point.
Right.
What we're trying to do is just trying to line up like the roadmap, so to speak, of, okay, this is destination A, destination B. What are the stops along the way?
Yes.
So, it could, that's also a really good point too. I just can't see them not renewing for season 6 though, with just with how well the show has done. I mean, you look at 3 seasons in the first 4 or 5 months of the lifetime of the show on Netflix, and it's already done crazy numbers. I don't know how crazy that is in terms of any other shows that ever been on Netflix in its, in its existence. So it's just going to be very interesting just to see how it all plays out.
Right. We've got a comment from Roundtable. Another thing is Netflix usually announces the release date about 3 months before. So whenever they have a release date teaser trailer, expect 3 months later will be the release.
Yeah.
Very, very good. That's good. Yeah, we have to track the promo stuff. Yeah, and you guys jump in on the comments. You know, if you have ideas or questions, just jump in and we'll try to address those. Julia says, "Are they filming season 6 of Cobra Kai yet, or yet to go in the production yet?" And this is kind of like what we were just talking about. We don't have a confirmation on season 6, so they're definitely not shooting that yet. I think I saw a tweet from Brianna Davidson saying that the writers she's talked to so far, they're not working on season 6 for sure. Like right now, they're doing other things for now. Um, so yeah, so that isn't happening quite yet. But as Stryfe said, why would they not? It's doing so well. Let's see. It's
And also,
consistent. Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry, I was going just to jump in too. And also, I had remembered something that one of the big three, Josh Heald, excuse me if I butchered
Yes.
the pronunciation, that season 5 is pretty much priority. You can definitely expect the season 6 yet, but because the Netflix has not renewed it, they haven't been able to like officially work on it yet. However, they've also stated during that in the same interview that it's possible that the show can go beyond season 6 if Netflix wants more of it, because they don't want to drag the story on too long, but they also feel like they could tell more story. And I
Right.
would imagine too, with how, look how detailed the episodes are written for an entire series. They
Yeah.
definitely have some kind of an outline and a timeline already in place of like, okay, this is going to happen in season 1, season 2, season 3. So it may not be officially quote unquote written yet, but I would argue that they do have an idea of where the show is going to go in that direction. And maybe, they've kind of like tweaked it here and there over time, especially with, moving from YouTube to Netflix, especially because remember, season 3 initially was for January 8th, and Netflix is like, nope, push it back up to January 1st. So
Right.
anything can happen.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And Ben Metello, whose tweet Sean Kanan liked, hey Ben,
Yeah.
Shola will be busy with Blue Beetle all year pretty much. So
Right.
that could be an issue as well. And so that's an interesting idea because they shot season 5 this past fall. But if they're keeping the December release schedule, it's possible they could shoot season 6 a year from now. Like they shot season 4 early 2021, like in the first few months of 2021. So it's possible that they might not even start shooting season 6 until a year from now.
Right.
And we've seen, I don't know what this means, Stryfe. I've seen pictures of Thomas Ian Griffith lately, and his hair is cut. Like he does not have long hair right now. So I don't know what that means for Terry Silver. It could be Terry Silver. Maybe he's not part of season 6. Maybe there's no confirmation of season 6. So Thomas Ian Griffith's like, my hair's been long for over a year and I'd like to cut it because I'd like a change. Or, maybe he's like, I will have plenty of time to regrow it for season 6 because they're not even shooting that for another year. I don't know. Do you think we can look into that at all?
Well, I was going to make the joke that it looks like you're out of a job with Big T. That's what that really means. But no, but in all seriousness, well, we know, like, I mentioned this in one of our videos that we did was, of course, what's his name? Robert Mark came in with Cobra Kai. He did an interview with Cobra Kai Theory, and he let slip that now Terry Silver's going to be in season 4 and season 5.
Right.
So he already kind of knew like the fate, because I assume they consult with him too of like how the character should be written and things like that. So there's a possibility that Silver might not even be in season 6 too. So that's also another possibility. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, that's also a good point. Like they said, Sholo is gonna be busy with Blue Beetle, so he's definitely gonna have like a tight schedule as far as that goes. So that could mean that maybe Terry Silver's still in season 6 and they've already kind of arranged the production date of like when to start filming. It can mean a number of different things. As always, everything's up to speculation right now.
Right. And another thing too, if Sholo's Blue Beetle, then I'm guessing he's going to be starting to get pretty expensive. And so do you think that there's going to be a point where he might get too expensive for Cobra Kai? Where we won't see Miguel very much, or like if it continues, or do you think that they would keep Miguel as a central character through the end of the series?
No, because you know, I mean, number one, look at Ralph Macchio and William Zabka. Imagine how hard and, you know, what their salary would have been cost just to get them to sign, because they're the two integral, you know, people.
Right.
And, you know, Thomas Ian Griffith, number two, was retired from acting for almost 15 years, and they must have paid him a lot of money to come back. So I don't think, you know, I don't know if I really see that as a problem, especially with how well the show's doing. You know, if the show wasn't doing well, that might be a different story. But it just now kind of just, that also kind of just, in a way, like within the show too, just elevates that Miguel is also almost the same level of importance as Johnny and Daniel, because, you know, the kids are, you know, obviously the senseis are important, and the kids are also important at a certain level. But you know, especially with Miguel's arc, you know, that we can kind of predict what's going to happen with season 5. I don't know if I can see that as being a problem.
Right. And then here Roundtable says Sholo was talking on his podcast. They had no intention of leaving the show. So that's good. Daniel says, I hope that's not a sign, I guess, about his hair getting cut. Silver will die or disappear in season 5. I don't know, Stryfe. I don't know if I could handle it if they kill Terry Silver. I want to put that out of my mind. I can't think about that possibility right now. Kev Woods. Hey, Ken. Hey, Stryfe.
Hey, what's up, Kev?
Hey, how you doing? Let's see. Julia says, I want to see Mike Barnes and Johnny Lawrence not get on in season 5 of Cobra Kai and have a hate relationship, and not like Snake or Dennis either. Cannot wait to see how they all meet.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
I
think that Johnny could definitely have a rivalry with Mike just because he's associated with Terry. Right. You know, like with Kreese, it's a little bit complicated because that was one of his father figures that also tried to kill him. And then, you know, with like Silver, he just already doesn't like it because he was already trying to hone in on, you know, Robbie. And then, you know, if Mike Barnes comes back, and depending on how that arc with Miguel wraps up, if Johnny comes back, you know, Johnny's just going to assume that Mike's with Silver, because at this point, you know, I imagine that anybody that's associated with Terry Silver, Johnny's just not going to like.
Yep, exactly. So. And, you know, Emmett says, you know, if Mike Barnes does return, how will Daniel react? And I thought that was a really interesting part of our previous discussion. Everyone check it out in the link. And we talk about that. And Stryfe, you were saying that, you know, Mike could actually be some emotional weaponry against Daniel.
Yeah. You know, because with all the manipulation and whatnot, because even Daniel says, I still live with the fear sometimes. We all do on some level. So we could really see how you know, how Daniel's trauma, his PTSD is kind of plays out in season 5. And that would be really cool too, because maybe it would be kind of like a symbiotic relationship with Sam and Daniel, to where now Sam is kind of trying to remind him not to give into fear, where it was kind of him doing vice versa in season 3. But yeah, definitely Mike. I believe, you know, Daniel would definitely be on guard with Mike, and at least with, you know, Chosen, he'll have some backup if anything happens. So,
right. Now, Zeron says, I want to see Mike Barnes fight Johnny and totally dominate. I hate those idiots who insist Johnny's superior. Obviously, people who slept through Karate Kid 3. This is a very controversial point. Obviously, I'm sure Zeron is saying this in jest because everyone has their own opinions, but it's really an interesting thing. People have wondered. I've made video, you know, you've, you know, explored these things, you know, who would win, you know, and people see Mike Barnes as sort of Karate Kid 3's Johnny Lawrence, and who's better, who's going to win. And that you would think that fight might have to be inevitable, right?
Right. There's just so many dream matches that can happen. And that's the thing about, you know, really about fantasy matchups in general, because there's like so many different factors that kind of go in. Like, for example, with Eli and Robbie at the end of season 4, you can argue that Eli only won because he hesitated, which, yes, that is part of it. But at the same time, Robbie was unlike Eli, Robbie didn't train under all 3 senseis like Eli did.
Right.
So, you know, with Mike too, that also it's kind of a tough to call, because as I've said before, to Mike's credit, he's a national fighter. He's, you know, we don't know how many championships he's won, but we know he has a national reputation as being karate's bad boy. However, a local karate champion was able to beat him through, you know, kata, which again, that's kind of arguable point-to-point system as well. So, but the thing is too, we know in the show that they've seen so far that Johnny and Daniel are equal. So if I would assume if Daniel can beat Mike, so could Johnny.
Right. Right.
So but you know, again, we won't really know until the show says otherwise. So
Right, right. And I just want to take this moment, everyone who's just joined us, watching the latest news, if you want to call it, is that we had kind of a social media flurry of activity last night where Sean Kanan commented on the video that Stryfe and I did together, the links in the description, and he basically said, interesting theories. Let's see what happens, something to that effect. So that's what set off all the speculation that we are closer to a confirmation that Mike Barnes might be returning in season 5 if we're reading the tea leaves the right way. Cecilia says, "How many kids does Mike Barnes have?" And he everyone's father. Just kidding. So I know people were saying this about Terry Silver, and I kind of was joking about that too. Just who is Terry Silver's kid? And I think people are starting to say that now about Mike Barnes. Like, is Tori Mike Barnes' daughter? And do you have thoughts regarding Mike Barnes' parentage?
yeah, I just kind of laugh too because it's kind of like in my video I've said with Johnny, you have to learn the difference between a callback and something that's actually put in there by the writers. So, for example, when Strike First, the song that plays, and when Johnny is beating up Kyler and the gang in episode 1, they have a hint of Miyagi's music in there, and obviously all the parallels to Miyagi and Johnny. Enough said. As far as the parentage, though, if Mike was the father of one of these kids in the valley, how would Daniel not know? Again, that could be another number of different factors too, but. He doesn't. I don't think he has to. I mean, look how his character was in Karate Kid 3. He wasn't even from the Valley, but he kind of fit right into the story. So I don't think he has to be related to anybody in the Valley, to be honest. Same thing with Julie Pierce, for that matter. It wouldn't make sense. I mean, why would Julie move unless the show tells us, or if that happens, why would Julie move from Boston to the Valley?
Right, right.
So
I know it's really an interesting question. It would have to make sense. And I know I did a video, speaking of Next Karate Kid, about does Colonel Dugan know Kreese and Terry Silver?
Right.
Just kind of a fun video. It's possible, but yeah, the last time we saw Colonel Dugan and those characters, they were in Boston. And I'm from around the Boston area, and I live in LA. It's obviously across the entire country, so it would be a big move. There'd have to be a reason why people would show up in Los Angeles.
Right.
Kev Woods, when's the next episode of Cobra Kai going to release? It's pretty entertaining. Kev, thank you. I do get this question a lot. Thank you so much. Everyone check out Cobra Kai if you haven't seen it. It was so much fun to do. All I'll say is let's spread the word on it. Everyone involved, I'm sure, would love to do more. So if there are any updates, I will let you know, that's for sure. But we'll spread the word on that. Okay, so Oliver says the Mike Barnes Tori theory is the one that makes the most sense. Yeah, there was that moment in season 4 when Tori was talking to her aunt, not from Boston, aunt, right? And she said that, "Ooh, you have your father's temper," which I felt like it was kind of like for fans, kind of like what? Oh, it's angry. Who's angrier than Mike Barnes? I don't know. I guess you were just kind of talking about that, but
yeah. I mean, again, it's just speculation at this point. So there is a comment. Am I able to? Oh, I'm not able to highlight. There's one from Zoran I wanted to address real quick too. I don't know if you see that one, which was right above Kev Woods. How do we know that Daniel can beat Mike now?
Yeah. Okay. Here we go.
Oh yeah. How do we know that Daniel can beat Mike now? We saw he did against, and that's my point. We don't know. Right. But middle-aged Chosen. If I assume, I believe it's never really specified. I assume Chosen and Daniel are around the same age anyway, maybe a few different years apart.
Right.
And that's kind of, again, that kind of goes back to our discussion, which I would really invite you to look at at the video on King Cole's channel. One of my things I said, I would love to see Mike become an MMA fighter and put somebody in an arm lock, because he was ruthless. We don't know if we can beat him now. I'm just kind of just going off of knowledge that we do have. Right. It's assumed that he could still beat him, or at least he was able to beat him back then. And that's kind of one of the theories that we've had too, was more like, that I get asked a lot. Could Mike Barnes 85 beat Johnny 84? And it kind of just goes again with the information that we do know. We know they're equal level in the present time and Johnny was two-time champion. Trained for 5 years. We don't know how long Mike's trained, but obviously, again, national reputation. There's just a flurry of factors that it's so it's so hard to like really answer those questions. So, but I would definitely invite you to watch that video to kind of get more. Did you dive more into that?
Absolutely. Again, that link is in the description. Just check it out if you haven't seen it. It was such a fun discussion. We go on for a bit about all these things. I like your idea about Mike being in the MMA, like an MMA fighter, and that would really put him in a realm, I think, beyond all the other characters as far as fighting. I mean, just in terms of experience, the level of competition he's had over the years, because I don't think anyone in the show that we've seen consistently been fighting, that whole time. And so if Mike Barnes has turned that into a career, I mean, he may be the toughest fighter.
Right. And also, there's another question, a recent comment. Julie Davison, I wonder if Julie Pierce ever met Daniel through Mystery. Yes, the creators have confirmed that. I don't know how long ago it was, but they've confirmed it for a while that Julie Pierce and Daniel met at Mr. Miyagi's funeral. And they've also made even more references in season 4 where, when Daniel's training Johnny, he tells something that we've only heard Miyagi ever tell Julie. Knowledge without ambition is like a boat on dry land. So we can assume that Mr. Miyagi taught him that later on, or Julie may have passed that on to Daniel. So they're slowly giving more and more hints to Julie as the seasons progress. Season 3 was very little, when Kamiko mentioned seeing the Cranberries and Dreams in 1994, the year that Next Karate Kid was released and all that. So yeah, they're slowly kind of like introducing Julie into the story too.
Right. And if they've met, that would be enough of a reason for Julie to come back, would be if Daniel reaches out to her, because she might be the only other student Miyagi had. And she would understand Miyagi-Do. And if I remember right, on Next Karate Kid, she was trained when she was younger by her father, who was trained by Miyagi's. I'm trying to remember.
It was Miyagi that trained. So Miyagi had trained her grandfather, Julie's grandfather, because they were in World War II together.
Right. Okay.
The grandfather passed it on to the father of Julie, and then Julie's dad passed it on to her.
Right. Okay. Yes. So that could be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Julia also says Daniel needs to meet Bobby Brown again and become friends with the old Cobra Kai friends of Johnny, as they need to meet and help Daniel deal with Barnes. And this is interesting. I did a video yesterday kind of about Bobby. And, after I did the video, I was thinking, I really miss the other Cobras. Like, and we talked about this a little bit, like the other Cobras coming back. Bobby could really help. I think it would be interesting. We haven't seen him interact with Daniel. That would be great, because obviously he felt sorry for what he did in Karate Kid 1 and apologized to him right away. We don't know if he reached out to Daniel after that at all, but it seemed like someone like Bobby, especially being a pastor, could really help smooth the relationship between Johnny and Daniel. And he would just have that attitude that I think could really help in this situation, because he understands Cobra Kai, he understands Kreese. And I don't know. Do you think we'll get Bobby? I know they've kind of kept him away from the drama, but I don't know. What do you think about Bobby?
Yeah, that definitely has to happen, because that's it would be really cool to see how Daniel would interact with the Cobras. And even though Bobby did do some nasty things to Daniel in the tournament, he was really sorry. And of course, in the deleted scene, which I assume they would now use that as canon, he kind of left the Cobra Kai dojo, and he was there trying to, because Daniel and Miyagi both saw that Bobby was also trying to stop Kreese from choking Johnny. So it's Bobby's not that ruthless compared to somebody like Dutch, who actually turned his back to the situation, leaned against the car, didn't do anything to stop. So and that's one thing I mentioned in my Dutch, or my Hawk video, was his comparison to Dutch, and that Hawk was willing to save his friend while Dutch could care less. He just cared about his own agenda and reaching out for him. So, and you think about it too, and one of my favorite lines from Bobby in season 3 is where he kind of offers his own Miyagi-like wisdom to Johnny, and it's still one of my favorite quotes, is, "You don't do the right thing because it works out, you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do."
Yeah, exactly. I know. And I'm so glad, we talked a little bit about Dutch as well, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because I know I watched Karate Kid 3 growing up, and I missed Dutch at the beginning of, I'm sorry, Karate Kid 2 at the beginning when Kreese puts Johnny in a headlock. I missed Dutch because he turns around and you don't see it. Like he's
Right.
there, but he turns away from the camera because
Right.
he doesn't want anything to do with it. That's such a great point. He's there, but he's turning a blind eye to it.
Now
Hmm.
that could have also been more of a production thing because from what I remember, and I could be wrong on this. So the reason he was wearing that cap is that his hair's not naturally blonde, so he dyed his hair blonde for that role. And
Hmm.
so when they brought him in to film a Karate Kid, I think he was wearing a wig, so that's why he had the cap on, and that's kind of like also like why they turned around. Maybe that was just because of
Oh,
his wig, but it also kind of goes again well with this character because when Kreese tells Bobby to take him out, Johnny and the other Cobra Kai students look at Kreese like, what are you talking about? And then Dutch just simply smiles. That's something I also brought up in my Hawk video. So it's still very consistent as well. But that's kind of like, I don't know if you knew that it was actually a wig, so that's kind of why he was well hidden. But it was kind of interesting to note too is that if they do bring him back, I'd love to I would love to see them kind of make him fight in the scene because just how well timed he just dodged that trophy was just it was just crazy. So
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
totally. Yeah, I would love to see Dutch come back. That would be fantastic. Here's Microwave says, do you think Terry will go to prison in season 5?
Yeah, it's definitely possible if he definitely gets usurped and Cobra Kai is kind of restored back to order. So it'd be interesting to see. But at the same time, too, I almost would not be surprised if he just gets incapacitated too and goes to the hospital or something. That'd be interesting to see.
That would be interesting to see. I'm excited because it looks like Terry got everything he wanted at the end of season 4. And as a big Terry Silver fan, I'm always excited to see him on top of the world. So I hope if he loses or has a setback in season 5, it's just a temporary thing. I don't want Terry going away forever.
Right. Right.
I love it when Terry's kind of all powerful and a lurking threat. So that's just me, though. But and Dutch is the real bully. Yeah, Mario. I mean, Dutch, man, he is people. He really wasn't that big a part of Karate Kid 1 until that scene in the locker room, and that just established his character, and people have talked about Dutch ever since then. I mean, it was such an amazing bully scene. He was so charismatic, and people really demand to have him back. I think that he's not totally against his role in that because in the William Zabka directed Sweep the Leg music video, Chad McQueen does return as Dutch. So and I think that was like 2007 or 2008.
Right.
So everyone check all the Cobras, I think, return as the actors return as their characters. Check out Sweep the Leg music video, Sweep the Leg, if you haven't seen that, if you need to see Dutch and Chad McQueen as Dutch.
Right. And that's also something I brought up too with I think it was either in both my Johnny or Hawk video, the first one I did on either. Johnny actually kept his promise of not to touch Daniel before the tournament. He wanted to, but Bobby stopped him, at school and said, "Hey, we got to save it for the tournament." And then Johnny is just actually there just kind of playing it cool. He's not even laughing at what Dutch is doing. He's just like kind of like whatever, just trying to get ready for the match. And Dutch is the one, like you said, to antagonize him. Dutch was also the one that was agreeing with Johnny when when they were beating him up on Halloween. They were like, he can't even stand up, Dutch, and Dutch was like, I don't care, it doesn't matter. So
Right. Yeah, man. He's now here's Detective asks, do you think Kreese and Silver will have a big throwdown?
I'd love to see that. That would be, there's so many dream matches that they can happen. That we could have Chosen versus Johnny, we could have Chosen versus Mike, we could have Kreese versus Silver, Chosen versus Silver. I would love to see like a 3-on-3 of like Chosen, Johnny, and Daniel versus Mike's, Mike Silver and Kreese, or if Kreese is not around, somebody else to fill that role too. So there's like so many dream matches, and that's what's going to make season 5 really interesting. Because we already had one dream match of Terry versus Johnny. That's something you never thought growing up that would ever happen as well. So it's just like the possibilities are kind of endless at this point.
Right.
I hope they manage to find a way to fit some of those in without making it seem like too much cramped in an amount of time without proper story. So that's one of the things I'm definitely looking forward to season 5 is like, those dream matches.
Right. And of course, we've also heard rumblings of spin-offs. Basically, I saw Cobra Kai Companion talk about a young Miyagi series, maybe.
Right.
They're floating like different ideas, and I'm wondering if there will be a spin-off that will kind of go concurrent to Cobra Kai. So I don't know if there would be an opportunity to explore more characters in detail in any of that. And another thing too, so we talked a little bit for everyone who just joined. We talked a little bit about Sean Kanan. He's been tweeting, maybe teasing Mike Barnes in season 5, which we speculated about. And we talked a little bit about potential release dates for season 5. And I know that that's on a lot of people's minds. So kind of revisiting that for just a second, Stryfe, if you were to guess, if you were to put your money down on when you think they would release season 5, when do you think they'd do it?
The safe bet would definitely be December again. But if not, I would have to maybe guess maybe mid to late summer. I'd love to see the release date kind of happen that too. And it would be a good time to do it because it's not that far of a gap from they did from season 4. I mean, with YouTube, the format also kind of did work. It was like season 1 and season 2 were released a year apart. But it's just hard to say. I would say safe bet would be December. To be a little bit more risky, I would say maybe mid to late summer.
Right. And I would agree with you. Like I would be so happy if it comes out sooner. But I think for now, I'm gonna stay with like they're gonna keep it very late December, because really with all the seasons, there's been at least a year between all the seasons. Is that right? That pretty close to a year. It's never been much less than a year. We've always had to wait a year or longer to get a new season of Cobra Kai.
Right.
Going back to Next Karate Kid, Julia says, will we see Ned of the Next Karate Kid show up at any point in Cobra Kai? Though Julie Pierce would love to see it happen, interact with Daniel or Johnny. Good old Ned. Stryfe, what do you think of Ned? Do you think we're going to see Ned ever in Cobra Kai?
One of the curveballs I'd love to see would be like, instead of Julie Pierce ending up with Eric, with her ending up with Ned, and then maybe because maybe she kind of straightened him out, so to speak, of kind of set him on the right path, because like Johnny at the end, Ned kind of just, it's implied that Ned's not going to train under Colonel Dugan anymore, because he's like, you told me you had all the answers.
Right.
And then he, like, even him kind of gave that similar look to Colonel Dugan, where he's like, take her out. But he's like, he's like, what? So, he's always like kind of like a little conflicted with Johnny, because he, outside of, along with Johnny, he's the only one to kind of redeem himself at the end. Chosen didn't redeem himself at the end of Karate Kid 2, obviously, until Cobra Kai happened. And Mike Mars didn't redeem himself at the end of Karate Kid 3. So Johnny and Ned are the only two to redeem themselves at the end of that end of the movie. So it would be interesting to kind of see him come back as well. Again, it would just depend on how they would, how would they bring him back and whatnot too. And then also Eric, in that whole thing too. So it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I never really thought about that, because Ned is obviously a really good bad guy. But yeah, he comes around at the end. And yeah, he could be a sympathetic character, when coming back. I think that's a really good point. So this is something I've thought about a lot. Marty says, do you think there could possibly be a death in the show? The scrolls that Anthony looked upon might be a foreshadowing one. So what do you think about this idea of a character, I assume a major character, dying? We already have Tommy, who was sick and died, but that's really been the only death in the show. Do you think they're going to kill off other characters, Stryfe?
I wouldn't see that happen until the last season, honestly, just because unless they have, like, again, a roadmap of what they've planned out for the seasons. But yeah, he is right about that. We actually talked about that in my Discord, that there was like a translation of the technique, because that technique that Anthony's looking upon is not the Miyagi oppression points. Let me see if I can pull it up on my Discord. One second.
Sure.
Because one of my let's see. Here it is. The chosen one will use. This is like a rough translation of the scroll. The chosen one will use Shisa's roar to stop the dragon's heart, but be warned the user may face death. Is what the dragon scroll that Anthony picks up says, and that's kind of that also goes in time. Time with what Daniel said. That's something I hope that we never use. So, yeah, I don't know if I can't see them again. Curveballs can happen anytime, but I don't see them doing it until like the last season.
Right.
Like in a finale or something.
Right. And I kind of, and this is my own opinion on this. I think if you do a death, a major character, a death of a major character, you can do it well. I think that's the only way it works, is if you do it really well. Because if you don't do it well, you're going to it's going to leave a bad taste in everyone's mouth for that character. It's like, oh, why'd that character go out like that? I honestly have a preference, just kind of looking at a lot of stories or movies, TV shows, that have been in multiple incarnations over multiple decades. It's really tough to do that. And there always seems to be a point where the studio or someone wants to bring the character back, or wishes the character was still alive, because it's a great character. So I kind of hope that they don't kill off any of the major characters. But there's always a possibility they could do it well, and I think you're exactly right, Stryfe. If they do it, it'll be at the very end, and maybe at that point an actor would be completely done with the role anyway, and that they give them like a graceful exit or something like that. But I know a lot of people have been talking about like Carice dying and things like that, and again, I love Carice and Terry Silver personally. I don't want to see them go. I'd love to see them keep playing with those characters, but I understand storytelling. Let's see. I have a theory. Daniel will end up bailing Carice out of jail and teaming up with him and Johnny to take down Terry and Barnes. What do you think, Stryfe?
I think that could happen. More or less because it's a last resort of trying to stop Silver. It would but in order for that to happen first, Johnny and Carice would have to reconcile, and Johnny would have to somehow convince Daniel to be able to do it, because I think it also in a way kind of ties in Tori, because Tori is the one that knows that Silver cheated, and with Carice as well. Carice was like, we're going to beat them on the mat. We're not going to use any kind of dirty trick in the book. So, Carice may not show mercy, but he does have some honor to that respect, is that he didn't want to, Silver to attack Johnny and stuff like that. Especially because maybe that could have been respected the deal that he made with Johnny and Daniel, or the fact that he knew that Daniel was, going to have his card, basically at the end of that. And also, I saw something, Cecilia, invite to the Discord. If you go to my channel, it's actually in the link of any description of the videos of my own Discord server. So that's definitely on that as well. So definitely check that out if you'd like to.
Absolutely. I've got to check that out too. What will be the first shot of season 5, Stryfe?
I would definitely say probably Chosen and Daniel training again. I'd love to kind of do that, because that would be, because they've done really. I mean, with all the seasons, they've done really good about that picking off. Like, season 1 ended with Johnny and Carice visiting Johnny, and that's where it picks off in season 2. Season 3, it even though the last shot was the phone, of Allie, it still kind of ties back to the major thing that happened. Miguel being injured and still in that coma. And then of course, season 4 ended with Johnny and Daniel trying to train, and then that's exactly where it kind of picks up, along with Silver answering the phone call from Carice. So I would say, if they're going to do it like that, like they've kind of done already, it would have to either tie in with Chosen and Daniel training, or possibly Carice in jail, or Silver, making his own phone calls.
Right. I think all those are great. I'm just going to say this. It's probably totally wrong. The back of Terry Silver's head in the ponytail. Doing something. I don't know. That's just my wild guess. I don't know. So Miguel's dad, something tells me that Miguel won't want to talk to Johnny for a while when he finds him, then joins Miguel's dad and later goes back to Johnny. it's such an interesting idea, Miguel going off to see his dad, because it seems to really take the story out of the valley, into these, other realms. Do you get a sense of like, is this going to be a full season journey, to Mexico to find Miguel's dad? Do you think this is going to resolve quickly, or do you think it's going to take place over the whole season and it's going to take the story well outside the valley?
I think to be very impactful, it's going to be either all season or a majority of it, like maybe at least 6 or 7 episodes. And that's also them also writing Johnny, Miguel, and Robbie coming back to the valley to what's going on too. That's going to be what the tough part. And honestly, it's a great arc because that means Johnny's not always just tied into Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do, because now he has his own arc. And yeah, I mean, that I feel like that's going to be the general sense of what happened, is that Miguel is going to realize that Johnny was really the father that he needs. In a way, it's a parallel of Daniel seeking out Terry Silver when he feels like Miyagi can't help him. Miguel seeking out his own father when he feels like Johnny can't help him. But Miguel's strong roots are from what Johnny taught him, just like Daniel's strong roots are from what Miyagi taught him. So
right. Man, that's so interesting. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I mean, those are some great ideas. And then Julia says, I hope Daniel bails out Kreese, helps him in season 5, and Daniel takes karate training under John Kreese. Now that would be a switch, that's for sure. So let's go into this. So basically, you're thinking that we're going to have Johnny off on the Miguel storyline, but then you're going to have Daniel and Chosen left to deal with Terry and the rise of Cobra Kai and the Cobra Kai franchise.
Right.
So, do you see? I know we talked about like what's going to happen with Terry Silver. If Johnny is gone, looking for Miguel, do you see that potentially Terry Silver could still be in control through the entire season 5, even into season 6? Or do you feel like Terry has to kind of come to a resolution at the end of season 5?
Yeah, he's definitely going to be in control, like for the majority of the season and whatnot. And to talk about Daniel takes karate training under John Kreese, this is a shot in the dark. But remember, what was the first dojo that Daniel sought out in the valley in Karate Kid 1?
Kai. Yeah, Kreese's dojo. Yeah.
So, but it would have to come to an understand. The only way I could see that happening, and this is also kind of goes back to Cobra Kai theory, had this age-old theory that Sato possibly knowing,
Right.
Terry training Terry and John Kreese. If that connection was somehow made, and then with water under the bridge, again, I can't see this happening unless Johnny is somehow in the picture of this. Then
Right.
that could be, that could be possible, to where Daniel does learn some offense and whatnot. But it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's possible, but it's hard to say.
And we're kind of at a point where we've seen Johnny fight John Kreese, and we've
Right.
also seen Daniel fight John Kreese.
Mhm.
And really, Kreese doesn't come out ahead, in those fights very
Right.
much. Like the last time we saw him fight Johnny, Johnny won, until he got distracted by Robbie. Then Kreese knocks him over the head.
Right.
And then Daniel completely disabled Kreese. And so I guess my question would be, does Daniel have anything to learn from John Kreese at this point?
I would say maybe the emphasis of offense and striking, which I mean, I guess he could learn that from the Miyagi-Do discipline that Chosen knows.
Right.
But really, it could be argued that outside of the tornado kick, Eagle Fang is just an offshoot of Cobra Kai. Johnny's own way.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, because like with the Kreese thing, like you say, it can be argued that Johnny won, and then Robbie got distracted, and then you could argue that Daniel fought a weaker Kreese. But then again, even in all that, Daniel pretty much avoided all but 2 or 3 strikes from Kreese, or attacks, you could say. So, it's really hard to it's hard to say.
Right.
Yeah, there could be something that he taught, especially if it's because I mean we know Cobra Kai possibly has 2 different offshoots, which is Quicksilver, or 3 technically. Quicksilver Karate, Kreese's way, and then of course, which is the way of the fist, and then of course Johnny, Eagle Fang. So, who knows? There was an interesting theory that Cobra Kai theory had also brought up that maybe Silver knows his own Cobra Kai pressure points because obviously man can't see, can't fight, striking the
Mhm.
throat and all that too. So
Right.
unless Kreese has some kind of secret technique, we don't know. But then again, if you think about it, maybe one of the secret techniques that Daniel could learn was the sweep the leg combo, where what Johnny used on Daniel Karate Kid 1, where it's like a double attack where you take out the leg and then like follow up with a quick kick to the face. So
Right.
yeah.
And you brought up a really interesting point about Chosen, and learning offense through Chosen, because I think it was an interview Robert Mark Kamen had with Cobra Kai Theory, or it was another interview where Robert Mark Kamen basically said that Sato, what he did was he took all of the aggressive
Right.
offensive.
Mhm.
You're right. And he just held on to that. He used that in his life and his business. Like that was his attitude. And that's what he passed on and taught to Chosen initially, presumably later, he taught him the holistic, Miyagi-Do style. So I think that's interesting. The idea that there is offense there that Chosen could teach, or, John Kreese could teach.
Right.
Okay, so Mark Runner says, would you like to see a fight in the Frank Lloyd Wright mansion with Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do versus Cobra Kai? Terry Silver seconds away from finishing off Daniel, and Johnny and Chosen enters the room. I have to highlight this because, Mark, somehow you speak my language. You reach into my brain and you've pulled out a complete dream scenario for me. I would love, not knocking Terry's beachside house mansion in season 4. It's great. It's nice. But the Ennis house, that Frank Lloyd Wright mansion, is iconic. I would love somehow for that to come back. It's a Maya temple. It's like Terry thinking of himself as a god. It really fits his character, and to have a fight there in such a lair would be incredible. I don't know, Stryfe. You may not feel as strongly as me about that, but what do you think of that?
I just had the thought of like Johnny Chosen doing a triple kick and kicking Terry Silver off the balcony, like double dragon style or something. So it could definitely happen. Those big fights seem to work so far. I mean, the prom fight was kind of subtle, and they had like the tournament. So,
Right.
Those big fights do work. So if they could somehow make it work, that'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, like a huge rumble with the original crew. Like that would be incredible.
Or the original Cobra Kai dojo. That Terry and John are coming back too. So,
oh man, that would be great. And then Thunder brings up, will Tori visit Kreese in jail and get revenge on Terry Silver? Yeah, and that's something we talked about in that video. Again, check out that link below on that video. That link below, listen to everything Stryfe and I say in there, because Sean Kanan commented and he said interesting theories. So we're not sure. We're hoping that means that something in there might be right. So definitely check out that video and see what you think and leave a comment. Well, Stryfe, this has been a lot of fun. We're probably going to wrap this up, guys. Do you have any thoughts, any other thoughts on Mike Barnes, the release date, season 5, or any of your current projects, things that you're working on that you'd like people to know about?
Yeah, so I'm still working on wrapping up my character analysis for season 4. There's still a few videos I gotta, so be on the lookout for those. Those are gonna be the ones on Tori and Sam, Miguel, Daniel, Johnny, and Amanda. Those are gonna be like kind of like the last of my Cobra Kai season 4 videos. And then after that, I'll be I would love to like hear like anybody's suggestions of what other shows they'd like to see me cover. Because then I'll start be talking about more different mediums as well, video games, other TV shows, other movies, and stuff like that, until Cobra Kai kind of picks back up in full season. So, but yeah, that's kind of what I'm working on right now. For those guys that don't know, I now also stream on my YouTube channel on Fridays at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm usually typically playing a video game, just kind of like unwinding and stuff like that. That's kind of what I got going on right now, but as far as additional thoughts, not really. I mean, we kind of covered it already, and like our discussion also does a really good job of covering that as well. So it'd be interesting to see like where the show goes from here.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And everyone who follows my videos, if you haven't seen Stryfe stuff, definitely go to his channel, go to his social media, follow, subscribe. It's really some of the best analysis on the internet about Karate Kid and Cobra Kai. I love watching his stuff, and I'm always honored when I get a chance to talk with him. It's just so much fun. Also, if you enjoy this content, go ahead and subscribe to my channel as well. And we'll just help this kind of discussion grow. And I look forward to hopefully doing a lot more of these things. And again, in the comments, even if the chat ends, in the comments, let us know your thoughts. If there are things that you'd like to see covered, just put them in the comments as well. And of course, we'll keep you updated if we hear any more from Sean Kanan or any other cast members about Cobra Kai Season 5 or anything like that. So thank you all for joining us. Stryfe, again, thank you so much. Great to see you, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And we will look forward to seeing you all next time. See you later.
All right. See you guys.